So we're back with this mess. Honestly, I don't like it. I really don't like it. But I'm gonna keep going because I think I need to. This is difficult for me on so many levels, way out of my comfort zone. Even though I love mixed media and I love abstracts, doing one myself is the loss of control is very difficult. So what I've been told about the rusty powder is you need to use in fact, because I don't want to, I can always mix more. I'm going to take some of this and set it aside. Try to get that powder out of there. I'll show you here in a minute what I'm talking about. Ooh, wow. Comes out quick. But you're looking for a dark gray, not a mousy light gray. It has to be fairly dark. And remember, I've mixed this with the wax, and the wax already has the Powertex. I'm also going to play with mixing this with just the universal medium. I guess that's what I meant to say. This is Powerwax, universal medium, and now the rusty powder. And I think I need a little more. And because I wanted to see what effect the wax would have on it, because I don't know if anybody has, well, I haven't run across anybody that's done it this way. I'm sure there are people out there, but I wanted to experiment with doing it with the wax to see what would happen. I don't know if that's, quite frankly, I don't know if that's dark enough yet, if there's enough rusty powder in there or not. I'm going to go ahead and add a little more. This ought to be really interesting. It's very gritty. And remember, this is gonna, you know, this is supposed to, once you're done, this is supposed to look like rust, so. You can hear the grit that's in there. And I'm applying a lot of pressure because I really want this smushed in and drug out. I'll be so curious to see if you see now the wax may prohibit it from reacting. I honestly don't know. That's what life's all about, right? Just experiment and see what happens. All right, now let's try the recommended way of doing this, which is to put out a little bit of the universal medium. More rusty powder. So I definitely recommend starting out with small. See how light that got, that, and I know that's not dark enough. So definitely start out with a pretty small dollop of the universal. Otherwise you're going to use a lot of rusty powder, and you may not want to do that in the experimental stages. That doesn't look too bad. And remember, we have to put vinegar on top of all this when we're done. That's what activates it. Otherwise, it's gonna probably, it would stay whatever this gray color is. you want to call it. And I'm going to try to see if I can get drips and runs as well. Now this is pretty thick too, quite frankly. So mixing it with the wax it was an experiment, but I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're trying to get a thicker version, just use less of the universal medium, which you kind of have to do anyway to get this darker gray, because you really need to have a dark gray from what I've been told. So I'm going to put some of this up in here. And this is a lighter, see, you can see that how the wax so far looks darker than this. So it'd be interesting to see if this all reacts, what we get. And I'm probably using more than what I would normally use, but I have to be able to freely play here and force myself to do this and not try to really think about this as a finished piece of art. I'm hoping it will be in the end, but right now I just need to see what happens here. It is bizarre. And I almost feel like, although I did enjoy making mud pies as a kid, it's kind of what it feels like. It's like I'm just smearing mud all on top of my beautiful colors. Yeah, scratching through, I guess to a certain extent you can. And now I didn't see anything about how long you had to wait. From what I can see, as soon as you're done smearing it on there, you can add your vinegar. I read some people put water, but I saw no indication of how much water to use. So I'm just using straight white vinegar for this. And I think you have to use quite a bit. So I'm gonna just move some things out of my way here. Nothing every day. I prefer not to have my entire work surface covered with vinegar. Let's see, make sure you guys can see. And nothing's gonna happen, of course, other than things are gonna get really wet. And I don't know how the vinegar is gonna react with the wax. That is the kicker, right? What is the acidic environment of vinegar? How's that going to behave? I'm going to find out. And I'm just spraying this everywhere because I pretty much used. And I've also seen on some other big YouTube videos that, let it set and then come back and spray it again. So it does have an effect on the wax. I mean, I'm able to kind of move it around. And I'm okay with that. I mean, there's some interesting textures coming there too. That's kind of fun too. All right. I'm just kind of feeling any area you don't get enough vinegar, you're not going to get rust. Oh, mercy. All right. And again, don't know if I should do this, don't know what the effect might be, but I want to get some drippy things happening with this vinegar. So I'm going to tilt the board and I'm tapping, and I do see some runs happening, but I can tell you that I really don't see the rust, the powder. It's not going anywhere. So that may not be a viable way to go. So I'm going to respray because obviously when I tilted it, a lot of the vinegar came off, and I want to make sure I've got enough. curious. Again, it's all about pushing the limits, right? I've got vinegar all over the place. I'm gonna put a few splats and use my finger and push this around as well. And some of that went right on top of the rust color, right? See, right in through there. And it's a little intense, so I'm just gonna I don't really want. Ooh, let's try. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try this. Again, I'm just patting right on top of the rest, and this is not water. This is vinegar. I have no idea what's going to happen with this and the paint. And that's what I was trying to do before, is get a few. And probably what I need to be doing is not be so impatient. I'm going to leave that alone. All right, one more spray. Make sure I've got some nice puddling. Wow. This is going to be interesting, folks. Okay, I'll see you in 24 hours. It has not been 24 hours, but it's been probably 3, maybe 4 hours, and I just wanted you guys to see where we're at. It's clearly turning to rust. If you remember when we first put it on, well, this is a good area where you can see this hasn't oxidized yet. And maybe it won't, I don't know. If you remember, I did a combination of the Powerwax with the universal medium and the rust particles. And I also did just the universal medium with the rust. So far, I don't really see a big difference. I'm gonna guess that I just didn't get enough vinegar here. So I have given it a whole nother spray of vinegar, and I'm gonna go sit it in the back bedroom, and we'll see what this looks like tomorrow. But you know, there are some interesting, cool areas that have developed. I might be able to salvage this. The areas I don't like is probably the copper. Some of you may like it. I just think there's too much of it, and I want to see more of the turquoisey tones. But that's the cool thing. We're doing mixed media. We can lay things over, and I haven't even got to the modeling paste yet. This is just my first basic layer of wax and rust. So we shall see where we end up. I'm back. Okay, so you can see everything is dry. We've got all these neat little rusty bits. This is not my vision for what I wanted to paint, but I'm really glad that I did this yesterday and just didn't really think about creating a painting, but just thought about how these products could be utilized together and would they work. And the answer to that is yes. And the big thing that I learned yesterday was, first of all, with the rust, you can get some drips and runs. You just need, I think I just need to learn to apply it a little bit thinner if that's possible. And then use the vinegar to spritz it and let that all run down. I think that you could do some really interesting effects there. The areas where I use the wax, they are bone dry. So adding that universal medium by PowerTex really made a huge difference in all of those applications. Now, can I still scratch? Yes, but it's different. I mean, you know, you can see what I'm using. And can I scratch with my fingernail? Eventually, yes, but I have to really, you know, I have to stay at it and do it quite a bit to make that happen. And I think once the final layer, if you were if you were going to actually keep this, I think a varnish coat would even prevent that. So from that standpoint, I am so happy that I have found something that definitely gets that wax layer to dry. So what are we going to do next? All right. So I still want to use this. I still want to incorporate this. So we're going to have yet another experiment today. I'm going to cover this with modeling paste. And I have no idea what the outcome's going to be because I have never used modeling paste. But this is my year of experimentation and discovery and going to places that make me uncomfortable. And I don't know how long this is going to take to dry, but today is Mother's Day, so I will probably not come back to this until tomorrow. Anyway, so, all right, so, ooh, look at that. Ooh, then doesn't that have a lovely, lovely texture? And this is modeling paste. Cool. Ooh, look. Yeah, we're just going to like throw it on there and spread it around like I'm icing a cake. And we're going to see what happens. And this is, it's what do they say? Semi-opaque. So yeah, this is going to cover a lot of stuff, but you know, it kind of needs to at this point. I kind of need a little more of a fresh, but I already like some of the things. Look at, you know, dragging it across this texture is producing some really cool effects too. So you just never know till you try. And I'm not making this terribly thick, all right? I am spreading it out. Like I said, it's kind of like icing a cake. At least that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to leave some of those interesting things that might develop. I kind of like that spot right there. So let's see what happens if we scrape through. I hesitated there, but I was going to take that excess and put it back in the jar, and then I realized that I am picking up some of those little rust particles. So I'm just going to go ahead and smear it all around. And we'll let this dry. And we'll see what comes next. We really don't know. All right, I'm trying to make a decision here about something else that keeps appearing, believe it or not, in my thought. It's circles. I'm just because you can press into this obviously and make designs, even though so I'm gonna do. Yeah. All right. We'll see what happens.